Hey, y'all. Hope y'all had a nice, safe, happy Thanksgiving. So, we're going to now take a look at the Black Friday races at Churchill Downs. We've got a couple of graded stakes races, the Miss Revere and the Clark Stakes, which used to be the Clark Handicap, used to be a great one. It was always a great race for the on Thanksgiving weekend, and was one that when I started in handicapping was always one I got really excited about, and not so much anymore, but still, it's a good competitive race. But we'll start with the Mrs. Revere. That's a grade 2. It's the 10th race on the Black Friday card at Churchill Downs, running a mile and a 16th on the turf for 3-year-old fillies. So this is one of the last 3-year-old only races of the year. And we've got a full field, and it's interesting that you note we've got you've either got, you don't have a lot of in-betweens here. It's either early runners or late runners kind of thing. And it makes for an interesting race shape, I think. I'm never big on races where there's a lot of horses coming from off the pace, especially on the turf. There are a lot of things that can happen, of course, a lot of traffic issues. But in this case, I think a late runner is likely to take this one. Reason being is we look at Kehoe Beach, number 3, and that was a monster win in the allowance ranks at Keeneland last time. Drew away after what were pretty brisk fractions, 46 and 111. And just kind of walked home. Just drew right away. Didn't let them get didn't breathe down her neck at all. Now, that obviously is a concern moving up in class to the grade 2 level. And this one's only got one way to go. Is going to take them all the way or not. It's going to have company on the lead from Pharaoh's Wine. Dale Romans, as we've talked about, loves speed. He will send this horse and probably will be right on Kehoe Beach's throat lash, so he's not going to get away easy. You've got Maxi Superfly, and Simply in Front probably will be up around there too. So that's a big concern, especially for a horse who's moving up in class without Lasix. And that I think that's a really important thing to consider for Wesley Ward. Note, though, that Frankie Dettori came off poolside with Slim, who is a stakes winner, to stay with this one. So there's definitely some expectations here. And certainly you can see enough to see that there is upside. But there's enough here to tell me that I'm not sure that we want to get real excited about this one's prospects taking them all the way. Just seem a lot of firsts in here, and particularly with the Pharaoh's Wine to give a lot of pressure, and Maxi Superfly for that matter, I'm going to try to beat. So Kehoe Beach, I think you certainly want to use, but I think it's a tough call to win this race. Now, number 10, Simply in Front, I think is pretty interesting. Note that Luis Saez stayed with this one despite having a couple other options for this race. Probably needed the Valley View off the bench after winning the Music City at Kentucky Downs. We know a lot of horses, there's a hangover after running on that surface. And this one probably just needed a race. I didn't think ran badly, ran the way a horse does when they need a race. So I expect a much better effort here. And this one's been competitive at the graded stakes level. And with the stalking trip sitting right behind Kehoe Beach, could have a good tactical edge over some of the others. And again, we've got a lot of horses coming off the pace, so there's likely to be some traffic issues. Simply in Front could really benefit. And at 15-1, I love the value. I think is a real sleeper in this race. Number 6, Pin Up Betty, is 2 for 2 at Churchill Downs. And this one's been steadily improving throughout the year. The concern I have is that Luis Saez isn't going to ride her. Instead is sticking with Simply in Front. But Pin Up Betty does fire fresh and has a nice set of 5 furlong work, so I think we'll run her race. He seems more of a grinder to me, and that's a bit of a concern. So I think under is probably more likely. Now, number 2, Buku. You can't discard Phil Bauer at Churchill Downs, and you do get Irad Ortiz in the irons as a bonus. Little concerned you're going to get the IRAD tax, especially when you consider this one didn't offer very much in the QE2, but had been off since August, so it's may have needed a race. But the problem is now you've got the same length layoff, so maybe not all is happy in the Buku camp there. I don't know. There may be some lingering issues they're trying to work out. But there should be some pace to run to, I think. And a grade 2 is certainly within Buku's grasp. Not sure about grade 1s, but I think grade 2, grade 3, this horse is very competitive. The suspicion I have is I'm just not sure this one has advanced from that 2-year-old campaign where she showed an awful lot of promise to me. But I think you can use Buku safely underneath. I landed on Manushka. I really liked that last race, the Euro, first effort in the U.S. I had a little trouble in the stretch, and once she got free, just blew right by that field with some nice acceleration. Always something I look for in horses. Doesn't have as good a back class as many of the Euro invaders, but you do get Brendan Walsh, Tyler Gaffleone with a good set of progressive 5-furlong works at turf way to build fitness. So I think a move forward is likely, and it looks to me like a nice scenario for Manushka. So we'll take a look at our wagering strategy. We're going to go with Manushka to win. We'll do it at cold exact, the 7-3 with Keogh Beach. To be honest, I'm not real psyched up about it, but maybe even a saver box. I don't know. I just have a feeling that Keogh Beach isn't going to be able to take them all the way. So the 7 with the 2-6-10 exact looks a little more promising to me. Then we'll just do a simple trifecta, 7 on top with 2, 3, 6, and 10. And if we get that, that should pay very nicely. And what I think is a race that's got an interesting race shape, and given the reasons stated. So I think this sets up well for Manushka, and that's what we're going to go with. Next race we're going to look at is the Clark. It's a grade 2. It's the 11th race on the Friday card, running a 1 1/8 for 3-year-olds and up. And we do have a full field here. And this is another one. It's kind of the the early runners against the late runners here. Not a whole lot in between, with the exception of perhaps Hit Show. And be careful how you say that, of course. We'll start with Most Wanted, and I think this is the one to win the race. I'm always a little suspicious of Brad Cox's horses, that he brings along this slowly. But this one's met every challenge so far, including a wire job in the Oklahoma Derby. I was going to face some pressure from Cook Creek and Bowlesley, likely, but I think there's some questions as to their form here. So it might be a little easier on the front end than expected. And this is the right kind of horse for Florent Giroux. He is not the most reliable jockey, but he does have a nice aggressive riding style, and I think he'll get Most Wanted right out to the lead, and is a really big threat to wire this field, and I like Most Wanted. Looking at some of the others, number 4, Paroli. Granted, had everything his own way with a rail trip in the optional claimer last time, but has a post towards the inside again, which seems to be a good place for him. And he's in good form, coming in second off the layoff. Probably more likely for under, but with a ground-saving trip, and if the fractions are slow to moderate, you get a horse at 20-1 who likely can get up and fatten up your exotic. So I think Paroli's one to think about for sure. Cook Creek, number 9, has been a new horse with Mike Maker, shifting the style to running on the front end, and was very game in the Lucas Classic last time, and now returns fresh. You get Luis Saez, who, because of his strong finish, should be able to keep Cook Creek in the race, especially if the fractions are soft. I'm just not sure. Cook Creek is, to me, a little suspect because that was such a big effort last time for a horse who's generally been more of an allowance level type of horse. So, but with a good effort, could stay in the mix, but I think under is more likely. Number 6, Hit Show, makes a lot of sense here, really does. But note that Florent Giroux hops off this one to take Most Wanted, and that does have to make you wonder when Hit Show is on a three race win streak and they're all graded stakes. This one never seems to get a whole lot of respect, but he's an honest horse. He fires every time, and in the right with the right scenario, could definitely take this one down. I just think things set up a little better for Most Wanted. And so Hit Show to me is more of a use for under, but I wouldn't talk you out of it if you wanted to try to put him on top. Number 3, Croupi, is a horse that I should just note. I generally bet against Todd Pletcher at the Churchill Downs Fall Meet because most of the time he runs either project horses, ones that need a little work, or those that he wants to unload because it's the end of the year. And to me, Croupi is the former. He's more of a project horse. You take away the Suburban Handicap win against the soft field at Saratoga, and this one, he always picks up a check, but he's usually under. Has a grinding style. He needs a lot of help to get involved. And to me, he just makes more sense for underneath than others do. And I just can't put him on top in this type of scenario. Number 7, Rattle and Roll. The main appeal, of course, is class. This is a Grade 1 caliber horse. And coming off the bench, if he can recover that form from his 3 graded stakes win streak, he's a contender here. The problem is that it probably isn't going to be a whole lot of pace to run to. And he may need a race coming off the bench. But I don't think we can overlook Rattle and Roll in this spot. This is that, it's the kind of field that Kenny McPeak can be pretty dangerous in. And, you're getting a pretty nice price at Rattle and Roll. And I did think about putting him on top. But the race shape to me says that it's going to be fairly slow on top. And I think for that reason, Most Wanted to me makes a lot of sense in here, even with the step up in class. So we look at our wagering strategy. I'm going to go with Most Wanted to win. Then we're going to do Cold Exactas with Hit Show and Rattle and Roll. And then we'll do a saver with 5 on top with 3, 4, and 9. Then we'll just do a real simple trifecta, 5 on top with 6, 7, Hit Show and Rattle and Roll in second. And then we'll do 3, 4, 6, 7, 9 in third. You might even want to throw in another trifecta, 5 on top with 6, 7 to fatten things up a little bit. If we get the ROI, we get the result that we expect. Get you a little bit more ROI. Should have included that. Sorry about that. Well, I hope our analysis helped you with your own wagering strategy, and I wish you the best of luck on Black Friday. It's always an entertaining day of racing, and we've got the Saturday card coming up, a couple of juvenile stakes races that I know we're all looking forward to, getting ready to jump into the Derby prep season. So we'll have coverage of that, so be on the lookout for it. And, of course, if you do like content like this, please like and subscribe. And thank you again for all of your support, those of you who have been with us. We really appreciate it. So that's it from here. I'll talk to you soon. And until then, be well.